Hello, ciao a tutti, and welcome everybody to my YouTube channel. My name is Rebecca and I make videos about life in Italy. I make lifestyle videos, language learning videos, and I just, take you guys along on my journey. So in today's video, I promised, I started a series a couple of weeks ago where I said that I was going to make more videos about anybody wanting to, move to Italy to find work, because of course that's one of the biggest things. You need money to move abroad, and you just need money to live, don't you? So I'm going to continue to make a couple videos on this subject. So in this video, I'm going to give some more tips on how to, find work in Italy. These tips can help somebody that's already in Italy, but I think they'll be most useful for somebody that probably lives outside of Italy and they just don't know what to do. Okay, so let's jump into the video, guys. So tip number one, I would say, you know what I'm going to say. Learn the language. I always say this in every video. Learn the language. Get as comfortable as possible in the language, guys. Don't just take it for granted that, okay, I know English and that's enough and it's going to get me by, it's going to get me through. Yes, it can get you through to a certain degree or to a certain extent, but also it will limit you. It will limit you with other job opportunities. It might limit you in the office when you're working in an office environment, or another opportunity might arise and you can't do the opportunity because why? You don't know Italian. So I always say learn Italian before you come. Of course, you don't have to get to the highest standard. You can become like A2, you can get by, you know how to talk, you know how to communicate. Maybe your listening skills are stronger than the other skills, but that is what I say. Learn. Two, I would say that you should make a CV in both languages, okay? In English and also in Italian, right? Because a lot of people, even if the job is advertised in English, don't take it for granted that the person who's in HR understands English, okay? So I would say to do in English and in Italian. Just have both of them on standby. So for example, you might apply to a job and it says in English, and you might apply to the job and you might not get a response back. You sent your English CV, you might not get a response back. Then it might be an idea to respond with the same CV in Italian, or just attach both of them. CV in Italian, CV in English. Cover letter in Italian, cover letter in English, okay? Just do both of them. Because some people, they just might not have the time, the energy to translate. Even if their English is good, they might not bother. They might go with the other candidate that sent both. When editing this video, I realized that tip number 3 was missing. So tip number 3 is basically, if you know other languages such as German, French, it can really be a big advantage for you. So make sure to look for jobs that incorporate the languages that you already know. Tip number 4, I think we're on, network. I've said this in videos before. In Italy, you will find that it's who you know. And a lot of people have a job from a friend or from somebody they know as referred them to the job. So do some networking, even outside, do a bit of networking. For example, let's say if you're not from Italy and you live in London, but you want to move to Italy, go to the city ever so often, start to build up a network, go to some different types of events in the city and just try to network with people. That's all I can say. You have to be brave and you have to be audacious. Network. You can also try to network on LinkedIn or in some type of professional settings. There's many groups out there now. There's many expat groups that you can join. Expats that are already in the city, you can network with them and ask them, oh, where do you work? What are you doing? And they will give you a referral. They'll be like, okay, there's a job here, there's a job there, there's a job da 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 da. Many a times I've had phone calls from friends and they've said to me, oh, Rebecca, are you looking for a job? My manager asked me to ask all my friends if I know anybody that's looking for work, and I do the same thing. I do those referrals. So if you're outside of the city or the country, start to network in those groups on social media. That's a tip for you. following on from that point, you might not get your desired job when you come to Italy, but if you come here and you do get your foot in the door in a warm area that you want to work in. So for example, if you wanted to work in, I don't know, you wanted to be a social media manager, but you take a social media coordinator job, you get your foot in the door. It's always good to get your foot in the door, then at least you can work your way up or gain experience and then move on. It's also very important when you're outside of the country, or even if you're in the country, to know which websites to look for, to use to find work in the city that you're going to be living in. So I suggest that you watch this video that I put here for websites to find jobs in Italy. That video will help you a ton to find work in Italy. All right, guys, take a look at that video. All right, next point. It might be smart or wise for you, if you're outside of the country or outside of the city, to try to think, what is everybody doing? Yeah, you will notice that a lot of expats, they generally do the same type of work. I'm going to link in other videos of common jobs that expats do where they get burnout, etc. I'm going to link that video here. So you notice that they do a lot of the same jobs. We all fall into the same category sometimes. We do teaching, maybe social media marketing, you know, manage people's social media accounts, babysitting, yeah, jobs like those. Like I said, watch that video and you see some of the ideas that expats generally do. But if you don't want to do those jobs, take a step back and try to think out, where is the gap? Where is the gap in the market? Where can I fit in here? What can I do differently? Okay, there's plenty. I know that people say that there's a scarcity of jobs in Italy, and you know, sometimes jobs are slim pickings, all right? And if you come here and you're expat, it could even, the pickings can be even smaller. It can even get even smaller if you need a visa or if you need some other special requirements, and even smaller if you don't speak the language, okay? But we have to think of it positively. There are many other opportunities out there that maybe you haven't thought of, that I haven't thought of. So it's for you to look for those opportunities. And those opportunities might not necessarily be in those big cities. Because when I have been job searching, I've seen that there are some cities that, you know, are not raved about or spoken about a lot, but they have job opportunities there, and they will advertise for people in that city. So maybe go to those cities, okay, or to those smaller cities or to those smaller places and find work there. All right, next point, you might have to reskill and upskill before moving. All right, if you see that there's an opportunity, like I mentioned before, if you see that there's an opportunity that possibly you can do and it pays well, upskill. Learn a new skill in that area. If it's in IT and you see that IT, they need more engineers, or they need data analysts, or they need somebody that manages their account, social media accounts, skill up, guys. Practice, work on that area, work in that field, gain knowledge in that area, gain a certificate in that area, and then come and then apply for that type of work. All right, that's a possibility. For me, I was a little bit of back history on myself. I was in, my degree is in business event management, okay? That was my field. I worked as an event manager, event coordinator for different companies. And then I went off to doing other types of businesses that I opened myself, right? So a little bit of business, and I'm quite entrepreneurial. That was my thing. But when I came here, it didn't really translate as well. All right, because business, as you know, it's a broad area, and event management, to get into event management here, not knowing Italian very well, Also, I didn't really want to go down that road because it does require a lot of hours and a lot of working and etc etc. So it didn't really align with me anymore to go to do event management. So I had to reskill, I had to think of something else to do while I was here. So I decided to focus on teaching English, and that's what I do now. All right. So if you do fall into this where you need to reskill, you don't know what to do, yeah, English is the option that a lot of people go for. But let me tell you, not everybody can be an English teacher. Just because you speak the language, I always say this, and you always hear this very often, just because you speak the language, it doesn't mean you can teach or it makes you a good teacher. I've had many lessons on pre-ply or Italian lessons, and I can just see that you know the language, but it just doesn't make them a good teacher. Just that does not make them a good teacher necessarily. You know, to being able to capture your students' attention is something you need to be able to do. To engage with your students, all of those things make a good teacher. So if you want to become a good teacher, I would say if you're at home and you're like, okay, I'll go to Italy and I'll teach English, I would say study, get some books, study English, okay? Study what English is, study what English is about. Then I would even go to the next step of getting a professional qualification in teaching. There's plenty of qualifications that you can get online, certificates you can get online. You can get like the TEFL, etc. But I probably would even say go a step above. If you really want to stand out and you want to be earning enough money and you want to, have more opportunities, I would say even possibly get a CELTA. But this is for another video where I'm going to talk about getting a CELTA or getting a TEFL and what I think. I don't have a CELTA, but I'm going to give you my opinion in that video. So look out for that video in future videos. Let me piggyback off the point that I made before. Guys, I would say think long term. If you have that time where you can think long term about what you want for your career and what you want your future to look like, how much you want to earn in the future. And for me, thinking long term involves planning. That's where, like I said before, maybe upskilling and learning something new will help you there, rather than just showing up in the country and then just taking whatever you get, because a lot of things will be thrown at you, but it's not necessarily the things that you want to do. And there are so many people, expats that I meet, that are very unhappy with the jobs that they are doing, but they can't leave the job because of course they need the money to survive. They want to maybe upskill and do a CELTA course, but the CELTA courses, I know they're a little bit more flexible now, but generally they take about 1 month to complete, 1 month full time to complete. A lot of people don't have that time in their schedule to do that. So if you're at home and you do have time and you do have that extra money, do it now. If, for example, you wanted to learn something about data, you want to learn something about social media, go and do a boot camp. You've got 3 months, do a boot camp before you come here. It's easier to do it before you come rather than when you're here and you have to worry about this, worry about that. You understand what I'm trying to say? I think you guys get my point. What you'll find here when you're looking for work is that you might find that the jobs require a lot. They require, okay, so for example, you're looking for something in data analytics. They require that you know 3 languages. So you know SQL, you know HTML, you know what other languages are there? Different coding languages basically. They require that you know 3-4 of these languages, plus have 5 years of experience, plus have 3 languages, plus have this, plus have that. So I noticed that in Italy they ask for so much. They do ask for a lot. Even for entry-level jobs, they ask for a lot. And this might put you off of applying. And also what you might find is that the pay doesn't match the experience. You might think, oh, they're asking for all of this, asking for all of that, but the pay just doesn't match. And this is what you'll find. So this is a tip. It's a tip, but it's also just something for you to know, that the pay sometimes doesn't match with the requirements. And also the experience. I noticed here they ask for a lot of experience, like I have 5 years experience, I have 3 years experience, especially in IT. A lot of the time they ask for a lot of experience, and you might get away with this in a different country because there was, I don't know, there was or is a demand for people in the IT sector, special areas in IT. There is a demand for that, where if you were to apply, say for example in Manchester, they might just say, okay, you've got 1 year worth of experience, okay, let me go ahead with you. Whereas here, you might not get that leeway. They want 4 years of experience, and then they want this and they want that, and sometimes it's very discouraging for a young person because you don't have that experience. Where are you going to find, so if you just finished university, you just finished college, where are you going to find 5 years of experience? Or you're just new to the field, where are you going to find time to gain all that experience? So that's something that you might notice when looking for work, and unfortunately there's nothing I can really say. All I can say is apply for it. Highlight all your skills, highlight your languages that you know, highlight that your coding languages that you know, your actual other languages like French, Italian, or whatever you might know. Highlight those. Highlight your the skills, your different skills, your soft skills, your hard skills. Highlight all of those skills and just try to stand out as much as possible. Apply those tips that I said before. Highlight any voluntary work that you've been doing or you've done. Those, I guess, will get you in the door, guys. If you're moving here, for example, you are in IT or you're in teaching, just don't expect to be on the same wage as you were before. It might come as a shock, but the pay is most likely going to be less than what you were on before. So yeah, do with that information what you want to do with it. Right, another thing that you might need to take into account is that the contracts here are different. There's a lot with the contract. This is for another video where I have to talk to you. There's permanent contracts, there's contracts that are not permanent, and there's just a lot of rigmarole around the contracts, and it all depends on many factors. So that's for another video. Job security here might frighten you as well. Payment might make you look twice. I said that already. So yeah, contracts, payments, job security, I think you should look into those before accepting any job. Look into it and see if you can actually deal with that, or if those things are deal breakers. They might be deal breakers for you. Next point, it depends on where you are in the world. You've got to remember that if you need a visa, it might deter somebody from hiring you. So you have to be very resilient and just keep going and just keep going and just keep applying, guys, because yeah, that might be an obstacle where you might be the perfect candidate, but if they need to sponsor you and they need to do all this and they need to do all that, they just might not want to do it. So bear that in mind. And just, I would say my last point is just to be patient with the job searching situation. Plan ahead, make sure that it's a job that suits you. Make sure it's a good location that you're going to find this job in, where there is enough competition. There are other companies around that you can go to, but maybe low competition in terms of other expats. Just try to take some time and come here, and you can definitely do well. You can definitely forge out a career for yourself here, but I think it just takes a little bit of planning ahead. Okay, well, those are my tips for today, guys. I hope that you gained some value from this video. Comment something below. Give this video a thumbs up, guys, because I really want to move ahead with YouTube. So please support my videos because it helps a lot with the algorithm. You know the drill, guys. So please like and subscribe to this video. And if you have any video suggestions or requests, please write them in the comment section below. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.